Do you know that Mookie Betts this year is hitting 240? 240 for a guy who I think is going to the Hall of Fame. And when you go around baseball, you see averages that are unbelievable. Now, maybe we're trapped by our age and how they used to hit. Also, they didn't have 100 guys throwing 100 miles an hour. But what are your thoughts about not just Mookie, but so many guys who are hitting terribly?
I miss the old days. People cared about batting averages. People cared about moving runners. And now it's just swing for the fences. And as hot as Anthony Volpe has been for the last week or so, I think Volpe should be a guy that should be hitting 280 to 300.
Me too.
Not a guy hitting the low 200s with 20 to 25 homers, whatever he ends up with.
Here is a good friend, an outstanding writer, Randy Miller. And of Dandy Randy, how are you today?
I'm well, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so easy sitting here and talking sports with people like you. Randy, let's talk about a very current baseball story, and that is the tremendous movement on the trade front. The trade deadline just ended on Thursday at 6. Well, what moves were made? And the Yankees and Mets made a lot of great moves.
They sure did. I know it didn't work out last night for the Yankees.
No.
They needed to improve their bullpen, and I still believe the three guys that they picked up will all help them a lot. I love the third baseman. Before they made the trade for Ryan McMahon, I talked to a Rocky scout and another scout, and they said this guy would be a perfect fit for New York. He could handle New York, and what a tremendous fielder. Big, tall guy, but he's very athletic and has a tremendous arm. We haven't seen the home run power yet. I love I think he's going to be tremendous in New York. But you're right. It was just an amazing trade deadline. I'd never seen so many big names go. It was crazy. I was trying to keep up with it. I was at the ball game at the Yankee Stadium, and I was updating. I had a post I kept updating as trades were made, and I couldn't keep it updated because there was so many names and so many trades. And right at the end, the Yankees made 2 or 3 right at the end too. It was amazing, and we're going to see what happens. But I still think when you look at the American League that the Yankees improved the most, even though they didn't get a starting pitcher. And I love the Blue Jays getting Shane Bieber, who I really liked when he was in Cleveland. And I know he's coming back from Tommy John, but he had 4 or 5 really good starts in AAA. I would have loved to see the Yankees get him for that rotation. But when I look at the moves, Tigers improved pitching-wise. They needed to get a big bat, and I really thought that Suarez, who ended up going from Arizona to the Mariners, could have possibly put Detroit over the top. But when I look at the moves, I like the pitching that the Red Sox added. Steven Matz for the bullpen, Dustin May for the rotation. Carlos Correa goes to the Astros. Blue Jays get Bieber, Ty France. But I still think the Yankees were the best team going into the deadline, even though they haven't played that way since the middle of June. And now I think they're definitely the best team coming out, the deepest team. And I think that they will overtake the Blue Jays, who have lost 5 of 6, and I see them falling out of first place pretty soon.
Well, I actually kind of agree with you, but I'm a little prejudiced. You talked about Seattle. What a job they did getting a power-hitting lefty first baseman and a power-hitting righty third baseman, because they're a team that has good pitching and really doesn't hit a lot.
Right. Everybody knows about that starting pitching. They've had it for years, and they just haven't hit. And you're right. Getting Josh Naylor, who they got, I guess, not right at the end. They got him a week or so ago. That really helps them, and then they get Suarez to play third base. Caleb Ferguson helps the bullpen out. I can see Seattle overtaking Houston. I know. Let's see it happen, because Houston's won the division and they're tough to knock out in the playoffs, but they're not the same team. They're not the same team that knocked out the Yankees all those times. And I think I would not be surprised to see Seattle, that I think is 1 game behind them, Houston right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the division.
The one move that amazed me, Randy, was the Athletics, moving Mason Miller to San Diego. Unlike all the others, he's not anywhere near free agency. He doesn't make a lot of money. He has fabulous stuff, and he's in his second year. Why did they do that?
Well, Sacramento A's, Oakland A's, of course, they are always rebuilding. I agree with you. I really like Mason Miller. I followed him closely. One of my best friends, who's a beat writer for the Steelers, his kid was in the same pitching rotation in Waynesburg College, a small college, before Mason Miller transferred. Same rotation. My buddy's kid is Mason Miller, so I've known about him for years. And if you remember last year when he came in, he was the first full season, and he had a tremendous series against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, and what an arm! And that's the guy that the Yankees were. The Yankees were in on him, and they didn't get him. And when you have 4 years of control, I just don't know how you can get rid of him. They're going to go to Las Vegas in a few years, but boy, they tried to make some moves to win a little bit this year, signing some pitchers. Severino, that didn't work out, but I would have kept Mason Miller. I get it that, why have a great closer if you're not going to be in the playoffs, but tough when you're a young team rebuilding, late losses hurt the most. And he's a guy that can put away, and that's a huge pickup for San Diego. You heard all these rumors that San Diego was going to trade Dylan Cease, and they might trade their first baseman, who won all the batting titles, and Reyes, but they end up adding some impact guys. And how about Nestor Cortez end up in San Diego too? I like the move San Diego made, and I dare say that I think I like San Diego right now better than the Dodgers. I just don't trust the Dodgers pitching as much as I love Ohtani and Freeman and Mookie. I don't know that they have enough pitching to win the playoffs again this year. They did last year somehow, but San Diego is going to be tough to knock out in that really tough National League.
Yeah, that will be a great battle. San Diego certainly improved themselves. On Miller, I guess I'm beating a fallen horse. But why would you trade a guy who has that many years of control? And, you talk about Vegas. He should be closing games in Vegas as the Athletics closer. That I didn't get, and I'd love someone to explain it to me, but I don't think they could ever use the right words to fully explain it to me. So,
well, we're in a big market in New York, so Sacramento. I was out there early this year, and it's a minor league city, and boy, that was not a great atmosphere for a game. And they just don't spend money. Oakland has never spent money, and they've had a good farm system over the years. Of course, they've had some battles with the Yankees in the playoffs, but look, you see what happens every year in Pittsburgh and Miami and now Oakland, and it's a shame that you get rid of young players. I can see you getting rid of guys that are going to be free agents, but you're right. When you have a guy he's in his second full year, you keep him. You build around that guy.
Oh, you sure do. I just want to throw one thing at you and let you go on it because you love the game and you're certainly a veteran. Do you know that Mookie Betts this year is hitting 240? 240 for a guy who I think is going to the Hall of Fame. And when you go around baseball, you see averages that are unbelievable. Now, maybe we're trapped by our age and how they used to hit. Also, they didn't have 100 guys throwing 100 miles an hour. But what are your thoughts about not just Mookie, but so many guys who are hitting terribly?
I miss the old days. People cared about batting averages. People cared about moving runners. And now it's just swing for the fences. And as hot as Anthony Volpe has been for the last week or so, I think Volpe should be a guy that should be hitting 280 to 300.
Me too.
Not a guy hitting the low 200s with 20 to 25 homers, whatever he ends up with. And it's just it's the analytics of baseball. Analytics, swing for the fences, hit with power. We don't care if you strike out. Joe DiMaggio, what did he strike out 26 times one year?
Yeah, not striking out is. I don't believe. Well, first, I don't believe a lot of those thoughts anyway. But when you don't strike out, you might move the runner. You might hit a dribbler in front of the plate and beat it out. You might hit a pop fly to shallow left and it falls in. So anyone who is promoting strikeouts, I don't think knows the game very well. And I also believe in batting average too.
Well, John, one thing we talk about this era of low batting average. How great does that make Aaron Judge, who's 37 homers, and he's still hitting 340. Might be a Triple Crown winner, even with the IL stint. It's amazing how good of a hitter he's become. And I had a talk last year, a long talk with his college coach, and when he went to Fresno, the college coach now is retired, lives in Montana, hunts and fishes every day with a bunch of guys that never heard of Aaron Judge. But when Aaron Judge, I think, was going into either his sophomore or junior year at Fresno, he made this tape, about a half-hour videotape, and it was all at bats of Miggy Cabrera, Gary Sheffield, and Albert Pujols. And a lot of them were two-strike at bats, and he made Judge study this, and it really made Judge, watching those great sluggers, see how they would take their singles, hit the ball to right center, and Judge, from ever since he watched that, has been on a mission to be a 300 hitter or better every year, and he just keeps getting better and better, and it's amazing to watch him take his hits in addition to 50, 60 homers a year.
I couldn't agree more with everything you said. I've told people Judge is simply a better hitter than when he broke in. He hit about 320 last year, and this year he's a better hitter. He hits line drives. He goes inside out, hits line drives to right field for base hits. And so I think that's a good way to finish this. Randy, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And if you're wondering, I plan to have you on many times again.
My honor, John. Thank you so much to have me on, and it's so great to hear you on the air again, back where you belong.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I agree with that, but thank you.